What's up guys, Nick Minoy, strength and conditioning coach and creator of Get Golf Strong Gym. What we're gonna go through today is an exercise program to work on your low back and your core. Two critical areas for maintaining the health of your back, your body, and also increasing your performance on the golf course. Right, so low back and core program really designed to build that foundation of core strength and stability to not only keep your back healthy, but also to improve your golf game, get you moving better and feeling better. It's broken down into two different days. One day focuses more on isometric holds, and the other day focuses on full range movements through these different exercises. So the goal is pretty simple. We want you to move better, we want you to feel better, and we want you to play the game of golf for as long as possible and as healthy as possible. So this next exercise focuses on all the postural muscles of our spine, all the stabilizer muscles of our low back. And what we're going to do is get into a face down position on the mat. And we're going to put our hands palm down, palms facing down out to the side here by our hips. So all we're going to focus on is trying to use from our waist up, use all those muscles and try and relax all the muscles from our waist down. So we want to avoid squeezing our butt, using our hamstrings, pushing into the floor with our feet. And what we want to do is bring our body up, squeeze our shoulder blades together, extend our spine up as far as we can without using our butt to lift up. So we want to hold this position for the prescribed time, just keeping our spine nice and straight, keeping our chin tucked, keeping those hands back, working on all those stabilizer muscles of our spine, of our low back, of our upper back, and holding this position. So for this next exercise, we're going to work on stability of our lower body, our back, our core in a challenging position that challenges one side of your body working with the other. So we're going to get into this 4-point stance, which is our hands underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips, spine nice and straight. So we're going to find neutral spine. So bend, extend, find that neutral spine, back nice and straight. So what we're going to do is we're going to work opposite arm and leg. So I'm going to take my right arm and my left leg. I'm going to extend both out. So I have a fully extended arm, squeezing my back. I have a fully extended leg. I'm squeezing my butt, keeping my spine straight. And we're going to hold for the prescribed time. So we're just locking this position in, keeping our body nice and balanced, holding this position. For this next exercise, we're going to work on some lower body stability, our lower body, our lower back, working with our core to create a static hold in our hips and our legs. We're going to lie down on our back on the mat. We're going to bend our knees. So we're going to get the feet, heels kind of close to the butt. Number one, we're going to bridge our body up. We can use our hands for a little bit of balance, right? So we're bridging our hips up high. And number two, we're going to extend one leg up and we're going to keep our thighs in the same line and we're just going to hold this position. So hips are up, core is tight, straight line with the legs, balancing with the hands if we need it, holding this position. For this next exercise, we're going to work on strengthening those lower body muscles of our hips and working on some endurance and holding some different positions with those hips as the main driver. So what we're going to do is we're going to get down to this side plank position. So we're going to put our elbow underneath our shoulder, hand flat. We're going to get a nice bend in our knees here, feet together, knees together, right? We have a nice V, reverse V with our legs here. Body nice and straight, spine nice and straight. So what we're going to do from this position is I'm going to drive this bottom leg into the floor. I'm going to bridge my hips up, and I'm going to open, keeping my feet together, my knees into this clamshell open position. So I'm putting some squeeze on my back glute, squeezing the bottom glute, keeping my spine nice and straight, and we're going to hold this position for the prescribed time. For this next exercise, we're going to work on creating and building tension in our core or midsection. As far as equipment needed, all we need is a physio ball. You can also use a yoga block, basically any object that we could wedge between our hands and our knees from the floor. So for setup position, we're going to lie down flat on our back. All right, we're going to relax our head. We're going to bring our knees up to 90 degrees, and we're going to put our hands on top of the ball. So again, if we have a smaller object, bigger object, anything that we can wedge between our knees and our hands with space between our midsection, our stomach with the ball. So all we're going to do here is I'm going to drive my knees and hands into the ball at the same time to create tension in my core. So I'm going to drive the ball down, right? So I'm trying to crush this ball as hard as I can. I want to make sure I'm still able to breathe as I'm going through this. So I'm not squeezing so hard that I can't breathe. I'm squeezing, creating core tension, right? And controlling that pressure on the ball. So as I'm doing this, I want to make sure of a couple points. My low back, that space between my low back, I want to drive that flat into the mat. So I'm driving my low back flat as I press into the ball. So we're going to hold for the prescribed time, creating tension on the ball. This next exercise focuses on upper body stability, full body coordination between our upper body and our lower body. The position that we're going to get into is very similar to a push-up position. So we're going to get our hands underneath our shoulders, right? Our feet are back, and we're going to create a straight line in our body. So from my head to my tailbone, I want one straight line. I'm not rounding, I'm not dipping down, I'm keeping a nice straight line. I'm going to spread my feet out nice and wide, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoulder tap one side at a time. So I'm going to take my right hand, tap my left shoulder, place it back, opposite hand, opposite shoulder, right? So working side to side, controlling the movement, balancing nice and easy as we tap side to side, making sure we're not reaching and turning, right? We're keeping our pelvis nice and still. We're trying to limit this lower body rotation and really just work on side to side, tap, tap. So for this next exercise, we're going to go through a great stabilization exercise that works on a lot of those postural muscles, muscles of our hips, our core, our low back, and our entire body in a cross pattern. What we're going to do is get into a 4-point stance. So I'm going to put my hand underneath my shoulders, my knees underneath my hips. I'm going to create a nice flat back in this comfortable position here. So we're going to do opposite extension. So meaning I'm going to take my right arm and my left leg, and I'm going to lift them first, both off the mat. I'm going to keep my spine nice and straight, and I'm going to extend both straight out. Then I'm going to bring them both back in, hover, and back out. So my goal is full extension of my arm, full extension of my leg, so I'm squeezing my butt in the back, keeping my spine straight, controlling the movement, controlling my balance as I come forward and back out. So for this next exercise, we're going to work on our lower body, introduce some side-to-side range of motion to our hips, keeping our lower body nice and stable, our low back nice and stable, and our core tight. We're going to lie down on the mat, right? We're going to bend our knees, nice comfortable position, keeping our heels toward our butt. And we're going to do number one is hands for balance. We're going to bridge up, and from this position, we're going to introduce the hip shift here. So we're going to go one leg at a time, march. So I'm going to march up, back down, march up, back down. So the whole time we're focusing on keeping our hips high, our core nice and tight as we introduce that shift from one side to the other side. For this next exercise, we're going to work on an active movement that strengthens our lower body, our hips, our core, all from the side plank position. So what we're going to do first is get set up in the side plank position. Right elbow underneath the shoulder, hand in front. We're going to get our knees bent, feet inside of the feet touching each other, knees touching each other, body nice and straight. So we're going to do one move up and down from this position. So we're going to drive up, and we're going to drive our legs open and back down. We're driving up, back open, and down. So I'm driving my hip into the floor, my knee into the floor. I'm driving this other knee open as I bridge my hip up and back down. For this next exercise, we're going to work on strengthening our core, our trunk, our midsection with an active movement with other parts of our body. So for setup position, we're going to lie down on our back with a physio ball. You can use a physio ball, you could use yoga blocks, any object that we can wedge between our arms and our legs and get our knees at 90 degrees, hands up top. Right? So what we're going to do is, with equal pressure from our hands and our knees, we're going to go one sequence at a time. So first sequence is, I'm going to take my right arm and my left leg, and I'm going to extend both of those out and back on the ball. I'm going to then alternate left arm, right leg, back onto the ball. So I'm going to alternate from one side to the other, keeping my low back nice and flat, extending fully out with each limb as I keep that tension on the ball in between. So one side to the other, nice and smooth.